YouTube friends, welcome to Qué Golazo. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We're wrapping the Champions League quarterfinals today. Vamos! Despite not winning on the night, Liverpool and Man City are through to the final four of the Champions League. It was quite an evening to lose some weight, especially if you're an Atleti fan and Man City, I guess. I'm here with James Bench, and Michail Antonio will hopefully be joining us shortly to break down all the drama from Anfield and the Wanda Metropolitano. Qué Golazo Champions League Wednesday recap, and the finale of the quarterfinals begins right now. Hey, everybody, welcome to Qué Golazo. This is our live show. We want your comments. We want your questions. James Bench is in the house. Michail Antonio later on. Man City against Real Madrid. Liverpool against Villarreal. The Premier League against La Liga. That's your semifinals. We want your comments, your questions. What did you think of the games today? And what are you looking forward to ahead of that, of course? James Bench, how are you, my friend? Great interview with Michail Antonio, buddy.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was chaotic to organise, as you and I know. Trying to get a footballer in front of a camera, it's like trying to herd cats. But it was wonderful when we got there in the end. And yeah, he's such a great guy. And you can watch that on our YouTube channel. Or read
Absolutely. It, or... Watch it on our Qué Golazo YouTube channel. Read James Bench's piece as well on CBS Sports as well, but plenty of great content there. Well done, Benjima. All right, let's talk about these games, buddy. Let's focus on, first of all, Atletico Madrid against Manchester City. My goodness. I mean, listen, from a goal perspective, strategic perspective, tactical perspective, it wasn't necessarily pleasing to the eye, but Man City get the job done. A few injuries, a few scraps. Somebody pulled Jack Grealish's hair. You do not do that, Savage. You don't. Do you want to get him angry? You want to get Jack Grealish turned into the Hulk?
That's Gucci's hair.
That's Gucci hair, Savage. What are you doing? It's worth a lot. It's worth a lot. But anyway, Atletico Madrid and Man City. Man City get the job done after a very tough battle indeed. Kevin De Bruyne got hurt. A few other scraps as well. Felipe got a red card, of course. Give me your thoughts on this game, buddy.
I thought it was, obviously it was incredibly intriguing. And even though, I had no dog in the fight and there was a lot of fight going on, it was tense. And it was invigorating, and it's not the sort where you want to write something to a deadline. But overall, I was largely pretty impressed with the way Man City dealt with Atletico Madrid finally turning up in the tie. I look back on, the 10 minutes after halftime, the passages leading up to Felipe's idiotic red card, and we should say Stefan Savic should have been sent off as well for a headbutt.
Yeah, definitely.
They should have been down to 9 men. Like, there were passages there where Atletico Madrid, with all their fabulously talented attacking footballers, Lemar, Felix, Antoine Griezmann, all of whom are incredibly well reimbursed and cost Atleti a lot of money, turns out that they could actually give Man City a few difficulties. I thought City defended really well. I thought John Stones was outstanding. Nathan Ake, great off the bench. But it kind of makes you wonder if Atletico Madrid hadn't waited 2 hours and 4 minutes to kick the football at the goal, might they have actually, been in this game? Everyone, everyone was sort of saying, people that were praising the Simeone masterclass were like, oh, he made sure that with 45 minutes to go, they were in the game. Well, you might have been in the game if it was 1-1 on aggregate, or if it was 1-0 to you on aggregate. I know that it's hard that City are a level above Atletico Madrid, but for 3/4 of this tie, Atletico Madrid played like a League One team would play against City. This is my issue with it. I think they hamstrung themselves. And then, look, if you're setting yourselves up for desperate times, meaning desperate measures, sometimes that desperate measure is Angel Correa scoring against Ederson. Sometimes that desperate measure is Felipe kicking someone. Is Felipe kicking Phil Foden. And it was hard. It was gritty. It was tough for City, but actually I think it's probably a very useful job for City that they kind of came through this sort of game that they normally slip up in.
Yeah, some really good comments here overall as James Bench was giving his initial analysis over this game. Sandeep, I agree with you, man. The first sentence, City looked a lot like Atletico towards the end. Atleti will be unhappy with their missed chances. Also, I haven't heard anyone say anything about the penalty that wasn't looked at. Well, I'm going to say right now, Sandeep, I really feel that, yeah, it was, I looked at it a few times after that. And I'm surprised that VAR didn't take a look.
Is this the Cancelo one?
It was the one that Correa fell. He got knocked, and I believe it was Cancelo. I don't know. I looked at it in slow motion. It didn't look like a dive. I guess I got to see it again, but it looked interesting to me.
Oh, I mean, obviously we get different commentary, you and I,
right?
And maybe it is, British commentators maybe taking a more pro City view, but I mean, I thought it looked like
I think we can agree to the fact that didn't determine the game, right? I don't think so. Overall, in the course of 2 legs, right? It's to your point. I think that Atletico really, overall, in 2 legs, didn't bring enough. They just didn't. And Man City are a better team, and they, even though they didn't wow us with goals and everything, they got the job done. Here's what I think. If you're going to be a scrappy team, a violent team, an aggressive team, in your face, whatever, then own it. And I feel like in the first leg, you were too conventional, Diego Simeone. And Joao Felix is not going to hold the ball for you. I don't know who you think Joao Felix is. He's not Diego Costa. He's not going to hold the ball for you. He's going to try and connect with Griezmann, but then you had Griezmann out wide. You can't do that. So by the time he switched to a 4 at the back and then making Griezmann a little more central, then he brought in Correa, the wonderful Correa, who's just a nightmare against opponents. I just thought your decisions to be more aggressive were too late. Yes, I think you risk maybe having 4 players by the end of the game if you started doing that from the 45th minute. But at the very least, you're giving them a go, because you're not going to beat Man City tactically. You're not going to beat them talent-wise, even overall. So you might as well try and make it a little bit more of a gung-ho aggression fight. So I agree with you. I was disappointed with Atletico Madrid. Obviously, you want the stadium to be loud, and Diego Simeone cheering everybody on with like 10 minutes to go, 12 minutes to go. But really, why don't you do that earlier on? Because this is a knockout competition. You got to go for it. You lose, whatever. But you're not going to be Man City on the other way.
And there's a gap, isn't there, between cynicism and aggression? And I thought, when Atleti were at their best, they were aggressive. This was in your face pressing, forcing Ederson and the defenders to kick it long because they were being pressed. Actually, it kind of suits City if you foul them all the time, takes the air out of the game. And you saw Ederson as well. It was like you've taken forever with free kicks and goal kicks, because they need to make sure that Wanda Metropolitana, which sounded great from the TV.
Yeah, I mean, the atmosphere is amazing. You can't deny that, right? Yeah.
They need to take that out of the game. And I thought, especially in the first half, City actually were benefiting from a referee that blew his whistle a lot. And it was just too little too late. And in the end,
it was too little too late. It was. And there's the scrap. It got into a big scrap. That's what Atleti fans like. The players like it. Everybody likes it. But to your point, there's a difference between cynical aggression and actual physicality. And in the end, too little, too late. And I think that tactically, Diego Simeone got it wrong. But, as well, they, on paper, they only lost by 1 goal. So we'll see. Anyway, we got Michail Lahoud coming in. Hopefully, he won't leave me solo like last night. Still talking to myself like in a mirror. I had to start singing there, James, halfway through it. Nobody likes that. I know. Michail Lahoud, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. Never thought I'd be singing this, but I won't be singing the Never Walk Alone. Let's just stop right there. No. Never can. It's not in my veins.
Well, we're not there yet on the Liverpool game. I wanted your thoughts on the Atletico loss to Man City. James Bench correctly saying that it just wasn't enough from Diego Simeone on both sides. We get him some good comments here. Most football analysis, Simeone's plan almost worked. They had the quality this game to bypass City press. Almost, I don't know about almost, maybe almost on paper from a scoreline perspective, Mo, but I don't think at any point, maybe in the end, in stoppage time, when City started getting a little frantic, I thought, okay, maybe you have something. But overall, City, like James Bench said, handled it pretty well. How do you see it, Michael?
I wholeheartedly agree. I was very disappointed when I saw the team sheet and I saw a back 5 again. And when I saw the guys on the bench, I thought, you got to be kidding me. We thought Pep was the one that was going to overthink this. Turned out it was Simeone who overthought it. I think it really almost felt like a personal vendetta against Pep is what overruled. And on the day, football won and violence, really, at the end, what we saw there, lost.
I think we also forget that, there was a lot of good chances for City. Like they kind of get lost in the mud. But Ilkay Gundogan could have had 2. Yeah. And actually, I was checking this. The shots on target that Atletico Madrid had, there was that Kondogbia punt, heave, whatever you want to call it.
It's called a shot bench.
I don't know, Mike. I don't think you'd call that a shot if you took it. You would not want that going down on your XG numbers. And then there was Correa's late effort, which Ederson saved really well. Like, that's it for the whole tie. Three quarters of the way through the tie, they had more fouls than they did hundredths of an XG. Not an XG, not more fouls than XG, more fouls than hundredths of an XG. That was dreadful.
Here's another comment, by the way. To be honest, in that second half, Atletico were creating, just didn't take their chances. I think they were creating in the wrong areas of the pitch, maybe, and they were making it frantic. I agree with that. Here's what I think, and this is something we talked about, Michael and Benj. I'd love your thoughts on this. I think it was part of our preview with Jimmy Conrad, and how Atletico need a transition midfielder. Somebody that, like, you get the ball, look up, and you pinpoint, or at least, move on. Not everybody can have Kevin De Bruyne, but, somebody within that mold. It's very difficult to just, lob it to Joao Felix, who can't hold the ball for you. And I think definitely in the first half, I saw moments where Atleti missed that kind of situation. But in the end, overall, Michael and Benj, let's wrap this one up. The right team got through to the semifinals.
And I was the one who said that Atleti would pull the shock of all shocks in this tie and defeat Man City. But I wasn't the genius who thought that Simeone would overthink it, as I said before. And really, if you're going to go 4 in the back, I would like to see Antoine Griezmann. It's been a horror show for him at Atleti since he left Barcelona. It's been a regression for him, being used in all the wrong places. Antoine Griezmann, before he left Atletico Madrid, he was a center forward, or he was using an attacking midfielder. I'm surprised if you're going to play 4 in the back.
It's how originally Simeone brought him in, Michael.
Yeah.
From Real Sociedad. He used him as a central player. Now he went wide. Sorry to correct. Yeah, keep going.
No. And if you're going to play 4 at the back, or 5 at the back, or 3 at the back, if you will, when they're in attack, play 3-5-2. 2 strikers, not one that's Joao Felix. And if you're going to play Joao Felix, play Griezmann up top. And I think it was a disservice to Griezmann's talent to put him in that right midfield role and ask him to defend. And as you guys both said, I thought Manchester City had the better of the chances. And it's a City team that managed the game to a plum. And Ilkay Gundogan, 2 golden opportunities. And let's not forget, Atletico Madrid, they had their chance with I think it was Correa chance. But Ilkay Gundogan, he had an opportunity right before that.
Yeah.
So, Manchester City, they managed it very well. And this is kudos to a City team that, look, if you're going to make it a street fight, this was a City team. Zinchenko, when Phil Foden went down, there's little details that go a long way in the game of football. I'm not going to call it soccer just yet. Football. And it's really when you have a street fight on your hands, and this is how City have been bullied in the past in Champions League. Teams want to make it ugly, chaotic, frantic, street fight. Zinchenko, Phil Foden's on the ground, and it's Zinchenko who steps up and squares up to a former City man in Savic and said, not today. And then Fernandinho comes in. The rest of the City, there was a unified presence about this Manchester City team playing in a very hostile environment. I was very impressed with that. And there's a reason why this team are Champions League favorites alongside Liverpool.
We were joking, James Bench, at the beginning, but we really weren't. It's serious. You don't mess with Jack Grealish's hair. Apparently that kept on going. In the tunnel, right? Is that right?
Yeah, a few reporters, including Guillaume Balaguer in there for CBS, are saying right now that they've heard, I think Balaguer described it as raised voices coming out of the tunnel. BT Sport, obviously the UK broadcaster, have said actually that they're aware of a physical altercation between Grealish and Stefan Savic, for which the police got involved. Obviously, as we're speaking now, we haven't really heard from the players, from the manager just yet. But I mean, it's the sort of dispiriting conclusion that Atleti were always going to, or it seemed inevitable, was going to come in this tie when we got to like the 100th minute.
Yeah, you don't mess with British institution like Jack Grealish's hair. Gucci's paying good money for it. All right, well, I'm a little bit. Joe Cancelo is suspended for the first leg in the semifinals. Is that a big deal, Michael? Do they have enough? I mean, it's Man
They
City.
they have enough, and if anything, you have Nathan Ake who can fill that spot.
Yeah, he played well.
City now have depth in the back
But
line,
if
which
Kyle
is something.
Walker's suspended, injured, he limped out. That's when we could be having an issue.
So how would you see it then if that was the case? If Walker was injured, we have Joe Cancelo who is suspended. Usually, Pep Guardiola has never shied away from putting wrong-footed players on the other side as well. But I would dare to think that somebody like Zinchenko would be pushed on either side, and then obviously Ake, John Stones. So Ruben Diaz, how far are we getting him back, by the way, as well?
Oh, Ruben Diaz, I'm not sure. That one's still a little way off, though. I would think. I mean, you're right. Maybe you end up playing Zinchenko left back, Ake, Laporte, John Stones at right back.
I think that's
what they did against Sporting.
Yeah,
I think that's.
But I mean,
yeah,
that's a tough one.
I totally agree with that. And look, this is a City team that is doing it. They played Liverpool at the weekend and showed very well. Should have won that match, as we probably said on many a shows since that match. And this is a City team that had it's been emotionally exhausting for them, and it can be. They could have rested on their laurels, but they didn't wilt at that. And this is a City team that will be very unified because they went to Madrid, and the image of Diego Simeone trying to clap up this fan base and clap up the entire stadium. It felt like a symphony of just Simeone and Simeone nights. I just made up a new word. Webster, put it in the dictionary. But just that, I thought that was beautiful to see. But the City team, they're a team on a mission. They just have a different edge about them. And could it be Jack Grealish's only contribution to Manchester City, apart from jokes and YouTube, just giving him that little presence of Birmingham in the locker room.
Michael, you got to be very careful on trying your Birmingham accent.
I know. Like, I got two Brits on the show. Sorry, lads. I'll wind it back in. I'll wind it back in.
You're watching a lot of Peaky Blinders these days. I feel. I love it. I love it. Well, I'm actually looking at that video. There's a lot of scrapping around inside the tunnel as both sides are just going at it and yelling at each other. And yes, Jack Grealish is showing his Gucci contract saying, look, you don't pull my, no, I'm kidding. But they are yelling at each other. And it's, it's what you expect. I mean, men, we get too emotional sometimes. It's really, Zinchenko didn't square up. He was just protecting Foden, says Melvin. Well, we'll see about that. Well, let me ask you something. Kevin De Bruyne's injury also worries me a little bit. Is there an update on that, James Ben? Because also no update. I mean, we have to watch out. There's a massive FA Cup game against Liverpool as well.
Yes, this is huge. I mean, the Premier League game was very significant, of course, in terms of the title race. This is the moment where one of the treble or the quadruple ends. It will end on Saturday. He had ice on his ankle, sat in the bench. Hard to know whether that's an impact injury. Those ankles, though, have dogged him in the past.
Yep.
That will be a worry. Now, of course, if you've got Bernardo Silva, Jack Grealish, Phil Foden, name who you want. But De Bruyne was looking, I mean, on Sunday, he was phenomenal.
Oh.
Yeah. So if he's out, Michael Lahoud, that gives surely a big advantage to Liverpool, who we're going to get into it in a second, had the advantage of rotating, even though Benfica didn't make it that exactly friendly for them as well. But Kevin De Bruyne not in that game would be a massive loss.
And if you're Manchester City, yes, it's a massive loss for the FA Cup, but because you were able to get the emotional better of Liverpool, because you were able to make more of a dent in that rivalry in terms of, hey, when it comes to a football match, we're the better side, then you can afford to shift your focus. Now, what's your priority? If you're going to go for the treble, quadruple, those are great. That's great in theory. But this Manchester City team, they're after one trophy and one trophy alone, and that is the UEFA Champions League. It's a thing that's eluded them. If they could get all of the other trophies and throw them into the Thames, then they would. If it means that they could get the UEFA Champions League. And I know you're going to say my pronunciation's awful. I'm going to get ahead of you.
No, dude, you're good to go. It's fine. I like
reverse psychology on that.
You're walking on the tightrope above a fire. I like it. By the way, Pep Guardiola making it to his 9th semi-final as a manager, which is a record, by the way, passing Ancelotti and Jose Mourinho, which we discussed yesterday. All right, everybody, but I want to know your thoughts. If you're a Man City fan, how do you think your chances are now? We'll talk about it in a second in the semifinals, but also against Liverpool in the FA Cup as well. We're going to take a break, everybody. When we come back, we'll talk about Liverpool against Benfica. It wasn't as easy or as doable as many thought. Obviously, they got the job done, but still, it was a little tricky because Benfica wouldn't go away. But in the end, things happened well. But we'll talk about it a little more. We'll take a break. Semi-final bracket predictions, a little bit of a mini preview on the Europa League. Perhaps James Bench can tell us some fun things that Michail Antonio told him, and much, much more. Qué Golazo Wednesday Champions League recap. James Bench, Michael Lahoud, LME. We'll be right back.
This was it. We're back.
Come on, be my baby tonight.
Julie has a controversial history with many of us.
I'm not trying to mess with that lady.
My sexuality made you feel uncomfortable.
That door is open and I can leave.
I'm either with you 100% or I'm not with you at all.
You didn't apologize.
Why did I come back here?
The Real World Homecoming, New Orleans. Streaming April 20th exclusively on Paramount+.
Welcome back, everybody. Champions League Wednesday recap. The semifinals are set. The quarterfinals are done. James Bench, Michael Lahoud. Michael, Liverpool 3, Benfica 3. It all started rosy for Liverpool, and it was that man again, Konate, scoring as well on the 21st minute. And then, but then Benfica got another one back, and it was kind of a back and forth. It was a rotated squad. Salah was sitting, Mane was sitting. It was Diogo Jota, Firmino, and Lucho Diaz. In the end, 3-0, but they get the job done. How do you see it? Obviously, we expected Liverpool to go through, but perhaps should be given Benfica, the Portuguese, a little bit of credit, taking in mind they really didn't give up at all. This is Liverpool's 6th appearance, by the way, in the semifinals. 3rd in the last 5 seasons. Remarkable stuff from Jurgen Klopp's side. How do you see this game from Jurgen Klopp's perspective?
For Klopp, we've been saying it throughout the competition, just your ability to be able to rotate players at the weekend, Mane, Salah, and it was Bobby Firmino, who didn't play a single minute against Manchester City. Since when does Bobby Firmino not play he played a single minute. I think 5 minutes. I got that wrong. But he played 5 minutes. But when does Bobby Firmino play 5 minutes against Manchester City in what could be a title-deciding match? And now they're reaping the rewards of that, because Bobby Firmino, if Karim Benzema is Karim the Dream, Bobby Firmino is Big Shot Bob. 2 goals for the Brazilian, and almost identical goals, runs in behind. And I think for Benfica, Liverpool have to be feeling very fortunate for the gift of a goal for Bobby Firmino. But there's no good graces here. You take the goals that you're given, and the ruthlessness of Liverpool is what Klopp will be happy about. Now, on the defensive end, I would be a little bit concerned about giving up goals, but at this stage, it's not about how you get there. It's the fact that you progress. We saw some of the craziness of the games yesterday. They're bleeding into the craziness of today, and this is why we have the Champions League. It's just end-to-end stuff, and credit to Benfica. I think Darwin Núñez, his stock just went up, scoring goals. That day, United, anyone, go pay for this guy.
Terry
He's worth
Silver,
it.
by the way. Have you ever seen Karate Kid 3? He's the villain in Karate Kid 3. Darwin Núñez gives me that vibe. He wants blood no matter what way he wants to get it. Good goal from Darwin Núñez, by the way. I was a little worried. Yeah, James Bench.
I haven't seen Karate Kid 1.
Are you kidding me?
No, never seen it. I've seen the episode of Community where they parody Karate Kid. It wasn't one of my favorites.
James, there's another movie that you haven't seen that really got me angry. What is it again?
Was this around Christmas? I've not seen Home Alone.
Yeah, that's right. He's never seen Home Alone.
Are you? Oh my day.
Seen Home Alone too.
Oh, okay. You know what? I'll give you that.
That's my wife's favorite.
Yeah, but I didn't care for it. Donald Trump was everywhere.
All right, well, give me your thoughts on Liverpool's side then. Rotated squad, James Bench, but they got the job done in the end.
Well, I think that's it. Is we're looking at a lineup, and particularly that defense. You know, Matip and Alisson are the only regular starters. Changing out the fullbacks. This was a team that was selected with not just one eye, with both eyes on that FA Cup final we were looking ahead to. And in many ways, this is just FA Cup semi-final. In many ways, this is just a reminder of the scary depth that they have, that Luis Diaz and Roberto Firmino can come in with a point to prove, and in Firmino's case, prove that emphatically. This was a great result for for Liverpool. Really, I don't worry about when the goal, the fact that it was 3-3, because the goals were conceded when they were 3-1 up, and it was a sort of natural conserve your strength, rotate players in and out. And I know obviously he brought on Salah, and he brought on, was it Thiago as well? And that seems more like getting a few minutes in their legs, because they're obviously kind of used to playing 3 games a week. So
there's a lot of supportive messages for Liverpool here. Mauricio Casillas asking, should Liverpool win it now? I feel like Liverpool should win the Champions League, James Bench.
Well,
you know what? Why are we discounting Submarino Amarillo just so quickly like this?
So the one thing I have to say, often I come on this podcast or I write my columns and I tell you this ex-defensive team, Benfica were a great example. You just say the defense won't hold. Like all the XG numbers, everything is pointing to this isn't a great team. If you go look at Villarreal, the underlying numbers suggest they can make it incredibly hard for Liverpool, because Bayern Munich had two of their 5 lowest XG games this season were the 2 they just played against Villarreal, 1.4 and 1.5 XG. It's fine for a normal team. It's peanuts for Bayern Munich. Like, it will be tough. Equally, it's Liverpool. Like, Liverpool are better than Bayern Munich. They're better than Juventus, and they're better than Villarreal. And over 180 minutes in general, better teams win football matches.
I know. I'm not totally assessing it right now. I know. I hear what you're saying. I just, the intangibles, man, the intangibles.
Yeah, but what about the tangibles? Well. What about the tangibles, like Mohamed Salah's left foot, Diogo Jota ghosting around the box, Thiago, Firmino.
Danny Parejo, James Bench. All right, Michael, talk to me.
Can we put some respect on this Villarreal team before a ball is kicked? Are they going to make it a three-peat do it and do the thing? Okay, you answered that. No, just kidding. We don't know.
Oh, no. I think it's more than serious. He's given Villarreal no chance in this battle. I just want to make this clear. So, Michael, but the question remains though, regardless of Villarreal or not, no disrespect, Liverpool, are they in this moment, at this point, do you consider them the favorites to win the whole thing?
I think it depends on the health of Manchester City. A full-strength Manchester City team, a Kevin De Bruyne that comes back healthy from hopefully what is a knock and not an injury that keeps him out longer, a Kyle Walker that is focused, a full-strength Manchester City team, they are the favorites to win. Liverpool is a close second. But Liverpool do have depth, and because of that, they maintain just strength on all fronts. And I think depth, should De Bruyne be injured or sidelined for anything that impacts 1 or 2 legs, then Liverpool are the favorites. But City overall and ultimately are just too good. And the match on Sunday, that tipped my opinion in a way I didn't think was possible, because prior to that, I'd been singing Liverpool's praises. But Kevin De Bruyne, him and Kareem the Dream, they've established themselves alongside Luka Modric on his day. But those 3, what they're doing for their teams, they are scary good in Europe.
Well, you said 2 out of those 3 is Real Madrid players now. So I wonder how much, James Bench, you give Real Madrid against Man City, given, by the way, not just the squads themselves, but the level of hardship that Man City still has to go through, FA Cup, whatever, and trying to get that title.
Yeah, so I both agree with Mike and disagree. What I agree with is that if we assume that Man City reached the final and we assume full health on City's behalf, I do make them slight favourites. But I think kind of when you kind of look at it now, and it, if I were a betting man, the reality is you kind of say it's 60-40 or 65-35 that City beat Real Madrid, and it's a lot stronger. It's 95-5. Well, maybe 90-10 that Liverpool beat Villarreal. So you kind of make Liverpool favourites for that reason. I think Real Madrid have, again, you look at the numbers, 7 of their 8 goals in the Champions League scored by Benzema, more than half their XG. And you kind of think, well, you could just stop him, but you can't. He's playing so well that there is no way of stopping him. It was a privilege watching him at Stamford Bridge, because he was always positioned in the most difficult position for the defenders to know whose responsibility is it. Jorginho was like, you would watch him every minute. He was going, oh gosh, I know that might not work well in audio, but just staring over his shoulder.
We can imagine he's looking around, and that's courtesy of Luka Modric as well, obviously finding Kareem Benzema as well. Here's my thought: over 40% of the goals that Chelsea conceded in the Champions League were courtesy of Karim Benzema. I don't think when they face Man City, let's say in the narrative, just for the sake of a hypothetical story here, if Chelsea, they were 3-0 up, right? 3-0 up. If Man City are 3-0 up in a game, they're not really going to give you the chance to do anything. I don't care who you are. So it will be a tougher thing. I still think it's a Man City Liverpool Champions League final. The romantic in me wants Villarreal to keep going, but I agree with James Bench. It's too tough. So, Michael, would you say, if I had to ask you right now, what's your final?
I think we've talked about it ad nauseum. I think it's going to be Liverpool, Manchester City. Get Kevin De Bruyne to the specialist that Pep loves to create medical miracles to in Barcelona. Make sure everyone is fit. And another player that we've mentioned very little of, if he's healthy, that's another X factor for City, Ruben Dias. If he can get healthy, that brings strength and solidarity to City's back line. And a Ruben Dias going up against a Karim Benzema, Aymeric Laporte. I like that back line and that center back duo going up against Madrid. And Pep, just tactical masterclass. He will not let what happened with Madrid from past rounds happen again against Manchester City.
Yeah, when he overthought it. James Bench, your final, I take it, Man City, Liverpool?
Yep.
Yeah. What do you think, everybody? Everybody watching, thank you for joining in just now. Like, subscribe to this channel. What's your final? What do you think? Do you give Villarreal a chance? Media Center. Man, I'm calling it now. Villarreal are going to beat Liverpool. Media Center, hold up a second. I'm going to take a screenshot right here. I want to call it out if you're wrong, my friend, okay? All right, so I'm going to call it out, all right? But if you do, I'll make sure to show you this right now. Des Norris can maybe take a cut. But what do you think, everybody? What's your Champions League final? All right, but we have it right now. Man City against Real Madrid. Liverpool against Villarreal. The Premier League against La Liga. Arguably the two strongest leagues in Europe, James Bench?
Yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? I think
the Premier League for sure.
Yeah, of course, exactly. La Liga, the narrative has been around declining quality, and I mean, I think they might be the strongest league just because then when you start going through it in your head, you go, I don't think so. I mean, Serie A is the other one that would have a case, but
right now they don't have a case from a European perspective.
Exactly.
League A doesn't, obviously. Neither does the Bundesliga. It's too top heavy. The Premier League will always be part of it. It's obviously economics as well. But La Liga, it could be, they are. Villarreal are the defending champions in Europa League. They are.
What about Liga NOS? I mean, maybe I genuinely, I think it's probably now a more competitive league than Liga, and it's provided us with more Champions League quarterfinals. The Portuguese league,
100%. The Portuguese league now that really deserves a mention as well. Michael Lahoud, La Liga, Premier League, the top two leagues in Europe.
I would say yes, and you can thank the January transfer window for that for La Liga. You really can.
Well, Goldman Sachs, right? Yeah.
Yeah. You look at what's happened since January. At the start of the season, we mourned La Liga with the passing of Sergio Ramos, Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, since gone. And we thought, what was going to happen to this league? Is it going to be a Real Madrid world? What type of Atletico Madrid were we going to see? And since January, the top teams in Spain, the fact that Barcelona has gotten better. I think Barcelona has made all the other teams, it's kept them accountable, and it's made the league better. It's provided competition in La Liga in ways that Madrid didn't have before. And Villarreal, Unai Emery, they are a competition-tested team. So many of the same players that won the Europa League are still part of that core that are in the Champions League semifinals. Consistency, you've seen it with Madrid. There's a core group that have won Champions League that are still there. You have a Champions League winning manager, Carlo Ancelotti, and now you're seeing that in the Villarreal DNA, that they're tested and they're a group, they're a unit. So I think what's happening with England and Spain is, it's in the blueprint what's happening in the Champions League.
Yeah, it's funny tweet here from Villarreal. All right, let's move on here. Let's wrap things up with a Europa League mini preview. Des Norris, as you put the fixtures on screen. James Bench, a little bit on your chat with Michail Antonio. He was up for it. You two had a nice little rapport. I felt like halfway through, I was like, you could make a BBC sitcom out of this.
I would love that if you're watching Michail.
So how was it? Talk to us about Michail. How's he feeling ahead of tomorrow?
confident, a real belief in what West Ham can do. You know, as he said, in that first leg, they were down to 10 men for 50 minutes and they got a draw. So why not win if it's 11 against 11? And he was also saying he wanted Barcelona in the final, which no, Michail, we want to see West Ham play at the new camp. That's what this has all been building towards. My favorite thing he told me, though, I have to say, is Mike LME. I'm sure you remember when he celebrated with a cardboard cutout of himself.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful.
Now, Mike, you may not know that there are actually two of these cardboard cutouts, because obviously the first thing you think is, why does Michail Antonio own a cardboard cutout of himself? He's not an arrogant man. You know, I mean, Jimmy Conrad doubtless owns multiple cardboard cutouts of himself.
He has a basement full of them.
Exactly. You know, there's just families of them. But what it turns out, I think the first time he sort of shared this story, I loved it. He had commissioned 2 cardboard cutouts of himself that were designed for during lockdown, when, of course, as you remember, stadia are empty and, you know, the stands are right there. So his plan had been to place 2 cardboard cutouts of himself in the crowd. And then when he scored, he was going to run into the crowd, take his seat in the London Stadium in between the 2 cardboard cutouts of himself and applaud the goal he just scored. He would have got a red card for that.
That would have been the best celebration ever made.
Would it not?
Yeah, it would have been the greatest celebration ever in the history of the game.
It's an absolute disgrace we never got it.
Well, it's a great interview. Make sure that you read the article on CBS Sports, and of course, Qué Golazo, that fool on Michael. I mean, it's, you know, the romantic in us. You know, we were saying we want the heart to overtake here and hope that West Ham get the job done. I feel that Lyon at home just might be a little too strong. I don't know. What do you make of that chance of West Ham's chance against Lyon in the second leg?
I think if they were 1-0 down going back to France, then I would wholeheartedly agree with that. But David Moyes is squeezing every bit of talent out of this group. And it's the fact that different players have stepped up to rescue this West Ham team that you just can't count them out.
Yeah.
1-1 going in. They're a character team.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's why I give them a strong chance and rely on set pieces, because you're going to need that going up against the Lyon team that will give up set piece goals.
Yeah.
So if it comes to if you're looking to boss them on the field and out football them, maybe that's the wrong tactic. David Moyes will be looking for possibly a smash and grab victory in France.
So you see West Ham winning? I
see them winning.
All right, James Bench?
Yeah, and just to echo what Mike says, this is one of the best set-piece teams in the world. They'll miss Aaron Cresswell's delivery a lot. That's one thing to say. But if someone else can put them in the box, Antonio, Souček, Craig Dawson, I know these aren't glamorous names, but watch out. You know, get Paramount Plus on this. Not Barcelona. Everyone watches Barcelona.
And don't forget, of course, one of the best defensive midfielders in the game, Declan Rice, as well, who will do his thing. All right, well, what else do we have in the Europa League, by the way? Atalanta, Leipzig. How do you see that one? Jimmy Conrad has a German side in the finals. Do you see that one, James Bench? Leipzig over Atalanta? They're not that good at home, Atalanta, in this kind of situation, surprisingly.
Yeah. I have no clue, though. They're 2 pretty well-matched teams. It feels like Atalanta wobbled a little bit of late. And Leipzig are also a team that are going to be quite well suited to playing on the break. I know it's a kind of style they've moved away from under Tedesco and under Nagelsmann, but I think give them the opportunities to play on the break and that muscle memory will kick in. So I would probably echo Jimmy and just lean slightly towards Leipzig.
I wouldn't quit on Atalanta just yet, though. You and Jimmy, I wouldn't quit on them just yet. Last match against Leipzig, I was shocked. For the first time ever all season, they went with a back 4. Who does that if you're Gasperini going up? I was expecting just the battle of the back threes, 3-4-3 combination. They've been doing that throughout the season. Both teams going either 3-4-3 or 3-5-2. And I think Leipzig just overran them, and it became too many 3v2s on the counter. And Cuckoo, he's been bossing it in Bundesliga and Europa League. I think if Atalanta want to put up a good fight and progress, get back to the basics, back 3. How they start that match, what type of formation they play will tell you a lot about how this match will end.
Yeah, two teams coming from the Champions League into the Europa League. By the way, I kept saying how Atalanta are not that great at home recently in the league specifically. Well, in Europe, I'm looking at this stat here. I mean, they haven't lost 11 previous matches, 7 wins, 4 draws, with 3 of those, by the way, coming against German opposition. So there is a hope here for Atalanta. I'm switching around now. I feel like Atalanta could do this now. You've persuaded me. All right, I'll go for an Atalanta win. Why not? Why not? All right, Michael, you going with Atalanta win as well, right?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm not sleeping on Gasperini. Amazing coach, and another coach who gets the most out of his team.
Yeah, bench German efficiency for you.
Yeah, Leipzig 2-1, but you guys are talking me around. And if only we had more time for the Europa League. I mean, it's what I always say.
Yeah.
If only we did, I might come round to Atalanta.
Well,
I see a future show.
All right. We're pitching it. Desnor's taking note. All right. Well, the Colombian Ronaldo phenomenon, Luis Muriel as well. He's been directly involved in 8 goals and 7 starts in the Europa League across the spells with Sevilla and Atalanta, by the way. So he likes this kind of situations. All right. Well, what's the other one there that we're looking at in the? Here we go. Here's another comment. Barca are going to win the Europa League. They're playing crazy good now. Well, we are going to talk about Barcelona right now. Well done, Eintracht Frankfurt, by the way, for getting that result 1-0 as well. All right, Des, let's go. Rangers Braga. A lot of fans here. Jimmy wants Braga. I went Rangers, but this Portuguese side is no joke. And James, you talked about the strength of this league. How do you see that?
It's tough, but it's Ibrox, and Rangers at Ibrox are a really different proposition.
Yep.
I think they would have been quite disappointed by how they sort of lacked a bit of fight against Braga, I thought. That will not be the case this time round. There's something really like I don't know why, especially Rangers and Scottish teams in this competition, but something just kind of takes them. And I think particularly because, they know they're not going to be competing in the latter stages of the Champions League, this tournament means a lot to them. And I find this one a bit hard to call, but I certainly think there will be stages where we think that Rangers have turned this tie around.
I want to remind you of something. I was going to agree with you, but I just remembered the last big match the Rangers had at Ibrox. What'd they do? They lost 2-1 to Celtic. They're arch rivals. And they haven't looked the same team since that loss. Yeah. When you lose rivalry games, that can dent your confidence. That can keep you second guessing. And it really can take the fear factor out of a place that's been a fortress for them in Europe and also in the league. We'll see how that shapes up. But that fear factor and that was Chelsea. That Celtic game, the other Chelsea, the Celtic match, I think that could be a thing if they look back and if they don't progress through this round, that will be the pinpoint that you could say, hey, this is where it didn't go right for them.
Yeah, in addition, by the way, in that first leg, Rangers failed to direct a single shot on target in a major European game for the first time since November 2009. They have to turn it around. But I'm going to go with the vibes, James Bench. I think Ibrox will be rocking, and I think Rangers will take care of it. Well, we'll see what happens. All right, let's end it with Barcelona. Obviously, at least almost everybody's favorite to win this competition. Again, as I said, Eintracht Frankfurt, well done on really, just going at them, not letting them breathe as much, really being physical, etc. But I think now at Camp Nou, I don't know. I think Xavi has his eyes on this competition, Michael Lahoud, and Barcelona should really take care of business. And of course, at some point, we have to talk about the magical Pedri, right? I'm sure
we'll leave him for last because I want to give Frankfurt some true love. Frankfurt, they are a team that they'll concede possession and they will just go for the press. They'll sit either in a low block, mid block, but they're at their best when they press you off of goal kicks, which plays right into Barcelona's hands, or which plays right in their hands because Barcelona, they have one mode of playing. What I'm looking for Xavi is if Frankfurt do the opposite of what you think they're going to do, which is sit back. Most teams come to the Camp Nou and sit back. If they come out and press you again in the first 20, 25 minutes, what's your plan B? You have the speed of Aubameyang. Do you put the pride of Barcelona possession aside, and do you utilize something you haven't had in a striker since Samuel Eto'o? When Barcelona used to do that, if you come and press, we'll lob it behind you and have Eto'o get in on goal. Do you do that with Aubameyang? If they do that, if they have a plan B, they will progress.
I mean, to be fair, they might have the technical quality in in the back line to play around that press. But it is tough, and I think Eintracht Frankfurt really did rattle them. Also, you know, kind of like we were alluding to with West Ham, this is a team where the Europa League with Frankfurt is kind of it for them. And I know obviously it's taken on a sort of outsized importance with Barcelona right now because, you know, they're going to be in the Champions League regardless. But, you know, it's a chance for Xavi to win a big trophy. But Frankfurt, 9th in the Bundesliga, not much else to play for. The results have kind of gone askew. Overall, you kind of look at all that and you think that's probably weight in favour of Barcelona. But this is a team that's really good in this competition, that like European football, that know what they're doing. You know, they got to the semi-finals, what was it, back in 2019? So I'm not ruling Frankfurt out at all, but quality of this Barcelona team, the way they've clicked into gear over the last few weeks, they've got to be favourites.
Yeah, don't rule them out as well because they actually do really well against Spanish opposition. They're unbeaten in their last 9 games against Spanish opposition. However, Barcelona have won 14 of their last 16 home matches against German sides. So something has to give. It will be very intriguing, as Michael Lahoud said, how the philosophy will take place on the pitch from Eintracht Frankfurt. I'm going with a Barcelona win. Michael Lahoud, what are you going for?
I'm going with a Barcelona win. I hyped up Frankfurt because, well, I love my Germans. I want to get another league up there. Serie A as well. I'll throw you some love. But Barcelona at home, they're a juggernaut. And really behind some of the teenage sensation play of Pedri, we got the shout out in there for you, Luis. Had to give your boy a shout. But really, the fact that another player who's a streaky player, Ferran Torres, got the goal in the first leg, that'll do his confidence a world of good. He's come so close time and time again, been on the assist sheet a few times since the Barca turnaround since January, but consistent goal scoring in the final third. He could be the X factor for Barcelona again.
Yeah, well, he's been directly involved in 4 goals and 5 appearances for Barcelona in European competition. And as you say, just needs to put them more away. James Bench, Barcelona too?
Yes, but maybe after extra time. I don't think this is going to be as easy as any neutral might think. I think Frankfurt will give them a good go.
Could be an extra time performance right there for Xavi and Barcelona. But regardless, that would be intriguing. All right, well, that was the Europa League, and that was the Champions League quarterfinals. We are set for the semifinals, which come back in 2 weeks as Man City and Real Madrid and Liverpool against Villarreal. Fantastic stuff there. Final thoughts as we say goodbye. Michael Lahoud, final thoughts, buddy.
It has been just an emotional roller coaster of a week in Europe and European football. I would love to thank the players, the teams, and you guys, the fans, just seeing the interaction around the world, seeing it on the show, being a part of it. It just feels like an honor to be part of just the narrative going around such a special time in world football.
Absolutely. Benjamin, last thoughts, buddy.
I wish I had anything as profound to say, but all I have in my head is...
Well, it is later for you. In the
exactly.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So you're allowed.
I had my cup of tea as well.
I hate tea. Tastes of old people.
No Home Alone. No Karate Kid, no tea. Who are
all
you?
I've got stuck in my head though is that Kevin Keegan rant, but it's like reframed.
I would love it.
Reframed around Jack Grealish's hair. Like when you do that to Stuart Pearce, it's like when you do that to a man like Jack Grealish when you touch his hair. And I just feel like that's what the whole Man City squad were like. You know, it was full blown Keegan defending Stuart Pearce. But
you do not touch Jack Grealish's hair, right, lads? Let's get in there. Yeah, exactly. I love it. I love it. But to echo everybody here, thank you so much for being part of the family. Please like and subscribe and spread the word. We're closing in on 11,000 subscribers, as well as obviously download the pod as well. And we have so much content. We have our weekend preview coming up. Don't forget to check that out, and plenty of great content, some new content beginning next week, by the way. I won't tell you exactly what it is, but we have a nice little surprise series coming your way. But the Qué Golazo team is here for you every weekday. Make sure you follow James Bench on Twitter and CBS Sports as well. Michael Lahoud at Mike Lahoud, LME at LMHegaray, Qué Golazo Pod on Twitter, youtube.com/Qué Golazo. Have a great evening. We will see you next time. Till then, bye-bye.